welcome back to another episode of our life seasons where we talk about the different seasons of life and how we grow through it. I'm your host Wen, and as per usual, be sure to stick to the end for a little bonus. Also, before I get into today's episode, we have some we have some new members joining our live season's Inner Circle over the week. So a very warm welcome to you to the Inner Circle. I hope you're enjoying the exclusive journal prompts template, and also I see some of you are already actually enjoying the privilege to listen to last week's episode before it was officially out. So that's amazing. And for those of you who are not in our Inner Circle yet, or you want to be part of it, it's the first link in the bio below, or not in the bio, but rather it's the first link below or in Instagram or TikTok's bio. Okay, also please do leave a review of this podcast on whichever platform that you're on, because I read every single review, comment, or DMs. Alright, now today's episode is a requested episode by Hakuna_Betata on IG. I hope I'm not pronouncing it wrongly, but what a cute handle, by the way. Thank you so much for your request. I have received a couple of other requests as well, which I very, 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 very am grateful for it. I appreciate it so much, and I'll get to it. So just bear with me. It'll be out soon, I promise. Anyways, I'm shocked that I've not actually recorded this topic, because it's literally the inspiration behind the name of this podcast, Our Life Seasons. Technically, it should be one of the very first few episodes, but I guess I was just so eager to share my point of view on the things that was going on in my life then, and this just wasn't at the top of my mind. But I'm just so glad that someone requested it, and here we are, finally. Before I delve into the different seasons and what they represent, I want to start by talking about the story behind the name of this podcast, okay? So let's rewind back to 2023, June 16, the day I recorded my very first introduction for Our Life Seasons, and you guys can actually check it out. I mentioned in the video that the truth and the raw version of life then was that I had no idea what I was going to name this podcast. I had some ideas in mind, but I just didn't know what it was going to be in the end, okay? I was so eager to start this podcast because I had this idea for so long, and by so long, I mean at the start of 2023, and I was just contemplating for half a year before I actually decided to do it. I didn't want to let perfectionism stop me from taking action, so I wanted to just dive straight into action first and let everything else kind of flows, which by the way was the best decision that I ever made, because look where we are right now. Look at our community right now. I'm so glad. So I won't go too in depth as to why I started this podcast, because I actually covered it in my intro episode. But a little context, for the 6 months that I was actually contemplating on restarting this podcast. Yes, restarting. I had a podcast back in 2021, but it was more on I think business and a little self-help stuff. But anyways, I was actually speaking to a friend about this idea and showed him my whole laundry list of episode ideas that I come up with over the 6 months during my commute to work every morning, and what I think people really needed to hear, or rather topics that I am really passionate about, and something that has actually helped me to grow through the different seasons of my life. And he had actually encouraged me to just go for it, and he pushed me to go for it. So long story short, I decided to start this podcast, but I didn't know what to name it. I started looking at the different stages of my life that I was in, and I remembered that I read this concept, I think somewhere, about how the toughest time in your life will have to pass, how winter has to come to an end for spring to actually take over, and how the flowers have to wilt to bloom again. And this is a very interesting concept that when I first came across, I was like, oh my god, it's so true. And that was when I started to dig deeper into how in life we have the different seasons, and it's very similar to Mother Nature, right? And it came very timely for me, because in 2022, I was experiencing the winter season of my life, but I didn't know that life seasons exist. So I felt horrible most of the time, and it felt life wasn't fair to me. Everything was just crashing down, and I was constantly hit with obstacles. And the last hit of the year was when my 4-year relationship ended in around I think October. So that was the final blow for me. So 2022, I met the most broken version of myself, and it felt like my whole world was crashing down, because I wasn't fulfilled in what I was doing at work. Nothing felt like it was working out. A relationship that I thought was going to last forever ended quite abruptly, and I felt like I lost everything, myself included, and I was basically surviving for the past few years, okay? I was surviving. I wasn't living life. I was just surviving, because I felt like I needed to live life, right? And I would say I was very miserable. I wasn't living life to the fullest. Even though I knew deep down within me, I was so capable of so much more, and I was meant for so much more. I always had this thought in me, or rather this intuition in me, that I was born to be different. I just knew I was born to be different. I wasn't made to be the same. And that was truly how I felt. But it wasn't actually translating into my reality, right? Even though I know that I was so capable of so much, I didn't want to show that side of me to people, because I felt like people might look at me and be like, oh my gosh, she's so cocky, like she's so like over herself, blah blah blah, right? And I had a lot of like doubts at one point, even anxiety and loads of nerves that was building up within me. And finally, when 2022 came to an end, I exploded. It all exploded. So wrapping up 2022, I remember telling myself, I'm either gonna let 2022 break me, or I'm going into like 2023 repeating the same thing over and over again, or I can actually choose to let 2023 be my year, the year that I actually start to find myself again. Because like I said, I felt like I was lost. I didn't have an identity. And I felt like the strongest part of me, or rather I knew what I was capable for myself, was just gone, right? She wasn't there anymore. So I wanted that year, or rather 2023 to be a year where I started to love myself again and spending time with the people that truly cared for me. Because during that 4 years where I was in that relationship, I did not spend much time with my family. I didn't have much time with my family, and they have always been the people that fueled my energy and helped me recharge. So you can kind of imagine how depleted I felt every week. And it just got worse because I gave a part of myself to everything and everyone. My job, my business, my then partner and his family, the relationship, everyone but myself. So I was really, really tired, like very tired, living life like this. I remember questioning, why was I living life like this when I knew life could be so much different, so much more, and it has to be different. So I was really, really negative, very different from the version that you see me today, because it amazes me how much I've actually grown over like a year, and it's crazy. So that's why I'm telling you that whatever that I say in this episode or in the other episodes in our live seasons, it actually works, because it's something that I found really helpful and something that has actually really helped me. Okay, I'm not gonna just pick things out from books that I read or from podcasts that I listen to and just repeating the same thing again without knowing that it actually works for me in life. Okay, so I'm hoping that whatever advice that I give or whatever that I say is gonna help spark some interest within you, or rather it's gonna spark something within you that changes the way you think about life, changes the way you view life, changes the way you're telling yourself the stories that you've been holding on to. Okay, anyway, I digress. So 2022, I decided for myself that the winter season was over with the year coming to an end, right? 2023 was going to be a better year for me. It has to be, and it will be, because I choose for it to be, and everything else was history. So when it came to naming this podcast in June, I had already seen myself grown so much, being so much happier, lighter and more positive. I gained more wisdom than ever. I loved myself more than ever. I started to kind of learn to enjoy my own company and be alone, being able to feel like myself again, and to feel like everything is going to be okay, because everything has started to be okay within a short period of 6 months. And that is how much your mind can help you in growing and in healing when you make that decision and when you set the intention to want to heal. Because like I mentioned in one of my episodes, in January, I decided that this year was going to be my year. 2023 was going to be my year. I was going to heal. I didn't know how to, but I was just going to do it. And by June, I was just in such a better place and such a better position. And which to a point where I knew that this was going to be the theme for my podcast. I wanted that to be a theme for my podcast. I knew I wanted to document, my life journey and continuous growth. One where I'll be able to look back at and be so freaking proud of myself, of who I've become, and look back at those videos and be like, oh my God, you've grown so much, right? And that, I can be proud of myself, because prior to that, I've always loved looking back at videos of myself. Even up to right now, like I would look back at, the very first episode with my mom and just showing her, how much I've grown, the things that I talk about, and just reminiscing parts of me that I felt like, couldn't get like better. Parts of me where I was so hurt deep down, even though I may not look like that on camera, or rather in that episode, but I knew that I was struggling. At that very moment, I was struggling with something else, and being able to sit there and just push through. Oh my God, it's getting me emotional. But being able to just sit there and push through moments like that really has helped me like grown so much. And I just want everyone to be able to know that this can be you too, okay? This can be you when you start to document little parts of your life, whether or not you don't have to put it online, just for yourself. And looking back at moments like that, I want you to be so proud of how much you've grown. I want you to be so proud of who you have become, because you deserve that love that you want to have. You deserve to be proud of yourself. You deserve everything, because you have gone through and you have brought yourself to a point where you can be proud of yourself. Okay, everything that you've gone through, every single obstacle that you've gone through, it's something that you should be proud of yourself for and not allow it to bog you down or just to allow it to beat you up, right? And I started this podcast for me, for myself, to look back at, maybe, even with my partner or my kids next time, and to show them that, what life is possible, and just my journey of life, and to be like an inspiration or role model, to allow them to live life to the fullest, to give them the permission to live life to the fullest, even though of course they don't need permission, and to know that life is always happening for you and not to you, that every season of our life serves a purpose, and what that purpose is for us to find out, right? That's why we're put onto this earth. That's why we face certain challenges and obstacles, because we are meant to learn a lesson from that, and that lesson is going to bring us way further than what we can actually imagine it to be. So however you choose to live your life, you can't avoid the seasons, the 4 seasons, okay? You have to go through it either way. So you either brave through it and enjoy the process while you're at it, or you feel like, you barely survived and you get knocked into the next season and the next season without actually knowing what that life purpose, or rather what that life lesson is. So it's our choice, the choice we get to choose. Like I said at the start of this episode, I want us to grow through the different seasons of life. So yeah, that's just kind of how like the story of how this name came up, how our life seasons came up. So now let's get into the meat of today's episode of understanding the different seasons of life and what it means. So let me give you an overview before I actually talk about the seasons in depth, okay? So our life is pretty much like a tree where you're planted onto this earth, like how trees are rooted to the ground, right? They experience seasons of spring, summer, autumn or fall, and winter. So our lives does the same as well. We grow through like distinct phases with unique encounters with either people or situation, challenges and opportunities that we face in our life. And that's pretty much like the seasons of our life, right? We go through the same season. So understanding this season and their purpose can actually help us navigate navigate these seasons with greater ease and find meaning in each season and embrace the change that comes with life, the duality of life. Okay, so let me give you an overview of how each season ties into one another, and you'll realize how everything just makes sense and it just flows. Every season has its purpose, and the way the seasons are planned out, they serve a very different purpose, okay? Each season comes one after another, serving very different purposes, but it all ties back to one thing. And that one thing is growth. And this process is inevitable, okay? Even the most amazing, season, which I will talk about in just a bit, like summer, it's still inevitable that there will be lessons or challenges that you need to overcome, okay? It's not to say that in the winter season is the worst season of your year, of your life, and then in summer is the best thing where nothing goes wrong, right? It's not like that. Like I mentioned, in life, the obstacles are the common thing that's going to happen every single time, okay? With every lesson that you have to learn, you have to grow through it, and with life, you just continue to grow through obstacles, and obstacles would be a common thing in your life, a common pattern in your life, okay? You won't come to a point in life whereby you feel like there's no obstacles and life is just full of like rainbows and sunshine. You can feel that way because of the way you view life, but know that obstacles, you can't run away from it, all right? So spring is often associated with new beginnings, fresh starts, and a surge of energy. It's a time in our lives where, you're planting seeds and exploring possibilities and laying the foundation for your future after coming out of winter. Okay, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. You feel hopeful and you're refreshed. So it could look like you probably starting a new job, or embarking on like a new relationship with yourself or your friends, or simply venturing into new hobbies. Okay, maybe even moving to a new city, getting out of your comfort zone. That might be something that you're considering, and that is spring. So as spring progresses, we enter summer of our lives. So this is a period of growth, stability, and reaping the rewards of our earlier efforts. So you're likely, probably maybe established in your careers, relationships, and routines. So this phase is often marked as a sense of accomplishment, fulfillment, and enjoying like the fruits of your labor. So that can look like, achieving a personal goal, like working out or drinking more water, deepening your skills, whether be it reading or like attending workshops and courses, or experiencing like a period of abundance where you start seeing little synchronicities in your life, and manifestations starts to slowly come into your life. It won't come like one shot. You won't suddenly become, if let's just say one of your manifestations is to earn X amount of money, it's not gonna come like straight in your face. It can be, but to set expectations, I'm saying that, in spring, as you progress, as you go into summer, it's probably you slowly starting to see your manifestations coming in little by little. And before you know it, it's like, wow, I've never actually imagined it to be. And it might not even be the manifestations that you have in mind, okay? It might be something that is totally out of your mind. You've never ever thought of it before, okay? And as summer transitions into fall or autumn, however you want to call it, the pace of life often begins to slow down, okay? We may start, reflecting on our life accomplishments and start reevaluating priorities, standards, and expectations that we had and start preparing for the future. So this is a time for you to let go, to embrace the change, and to find new meaning in life's later chapters. So perhaps like maybe a relationship or friendship that will end, changing in careers probably, and facing some sort of like loss. And that's very normal, okay? Then we have winter, which is often perceived as a time of dormancy and stillness, which represents periods of rest, introspection, and probably acceptance. So this is a time where naturally, you feel like things start to slow down a little bit more, you start to recharge and prepare for the next cycle of growth, or rather in this case, the next season of your life. So this doesn't necessarily have to imply negativity, because I feel like a lot of times people think that, winter is a season whereby, life just hits you with obstacles and everything is just so bad. But how I like to see winter season is that it's a time where you start to reflect, you spend more time on reflection and rejuvenation, and you take it as like a sabbatical, going deep within you and experiencing a period of self-discovery. And I think something about winter is just very amazing. Even though it's cold, I think that's when people start to light up their scented candles, create this warm environment for themselves. And probably you just feel like spending majority of your time in bed to just kind of reflect on life, to take things a little bit slower, because during winter season, things start to slow down a little bit more. And yeah, so it's a very perfect time for self-discovery. And I don't know, for maybe it's an introvert thing or whatever it is, but I feel like winter season is my favorite season, and I'll talk about it why later, okay, when we dive deeper into each seasons. But regardless of the seasons, we are all meant to grow with life, and each season may be shorter or longer depending on you, your choice of words, the stories you choose to hold on to and choose to tell yourself, whether you're reacting or responsive to life, and many other factors, okay? But one common thing that I realized is that for a lot of people, like I said, maybe even for you, you feel that winter seasons are the ones that are usually longer, or in fact are the longest because of your choices. You stay stuck in the winter season wishing that spring will come, but not actually working towards spring, right? And that may look like just you sitting in the cold wishing that it will all be over, instead of actually moving and taking action to feel better. And today, I hope that by understanding how each season works, you will be able to let go of the things that are not benefiting your growth and start to move towards the next seasons of your life, and not hold on to the things that, keep you stuck in whatever season that you're currently in, okay? Now, with that said, I want to dive deep into each seasons, and let's start with spring. Spring is all about planting the seeds to hope, right? New beginnings, opportunities, and just a lot of potential. Spring is usually where you're bursting with excitement and potential. You're full of dreams, eager to learn and try new things. You might be starting your education, or maybe entering a workforce for the first time, or embracing a new relationship, whether it's the one with yourself or friendships, maybe even romantic relationships, or with your romantic partner. That feeling of like boundless energy and optimism, that is the spirit of spring, okay? Perhaps you're like a young graduate or fresh out of university, where the world is your oyster and you're brimming with ideas and aspirations. You might be taking your first steps in your career, perhaps venturing into entrepreneurship or traveling the world. Whatever that look like, I want to say that everything in life has duality to it, right? Amongst all these good vibes, the challenges that you might face in spring is to overcome self-doubt or maybe imposter syndrome, navigating independence, and finding your direction. But I want you to know that this is your time to experiment, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Be okay making mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I can't say this enough. It is okay to make mistakes in your life, and you'll see that sometimes these open inverted mistakes turn out to be a blessing in disguise, right? Not let it bog you down. Don't let it bog you down. Learn to tap onto the positivity and let it drive you forward, and not keep you still or like pull you backwards, okay? Embrace the unknown and be curious about everything. This is the best time for you to follow every inkling, every passion and curiosity, and let it guide you. Now, this is important. I want you to know that while you're following every passion of yours, Don't try to settle for less or feel a need to stick to anything that you have an interest in or anything that you started because you started it, right? Yes, I know, contrary to popular belief, I love the idea of jumping around and just trying things and just testing things out. That's the whole purpose of spring, okay, at least for me. People will tell you that that's not the way to go, or you won't be successful this way by trying everything and not sticking to one thing. But trust me, you'll be much more successful at knowing that that is exactly what you want. You know exactly what you want, what sparks your interest, and what you don't like, by hopping onto something and dropping as soon as you don't think it's for you, instead of holding on to it even though you know that it's not working out for you, okay? At least that is what I found really helpful for me. During my spring season, I tried out like a bunch of different things. I restarted my creative business, which turned out to just realize that, I just like designing, and it might not be something that I want to make money out of, or I want to make it a business, because it's something that I truly just love doing. So I dropped it and I moved on to the next thing. And then I started my second account, an honest entry, which is something that I quite like because I get to express my emotions through writing and stuck to that ever since. So it's a minimal effort from me and it's still going on. And then I still feel like I wanted to find something that requires a little bit more effort and one that lights me up differently. And here we are. I felt like, I kind of found my life purpose with Ally Seasons, and that is because I've always jumped around and I didn't really care what people what people think of me or how people view me. So the trick here to fast track your search for your life purpose is to start a lot of different things. Let go as soon as your intuition is telling you, and you don't attach any feelings or meaning to the ones that didn't work out or ended, right? You don't think of it as a failure. You don't attach your self-worth to it. That is something that I find it really important. Something that you need to know is that whatever that you try, you don't have to bring it on like forever and ever, right? Like what everyone is saying is that, if you try something, or if you want to make something work, you have to keep to it like for at least 3 years or whatever. To me, I've always had an experience of just dropping things within 3 months or 6 months. Yes, that may look like, oh my gosh, she's not serious about it. But no, because I know that every single thing that I start, I put my full effort in it, and I know how to let go, or at least right now, I know how to let go and not to attach any emotions or feelings to it. To tell myself that if something doesn't work out, I'm okay to drop it. And it does not mean that I fail. It does not mean that I'm not worthy of, creating a business or starting a business or whatever it is, okay? So this is based on my experience and story. And if you want to hear more of, how my spring season is like, I've actually broken it down into different months. Watch episode 13 where, I kind of walk you through how my spring season is like and what I've actually learned from it. Okay, so episode 13 is where I talk about everything that has happened in my spring season. Now, as spring blossoms into summer, you will feel like your life kind of flourishes, right? Filled with excitement and growth from all the abundance that has been happening in your life. It is the time for growth and abundance. So maybe you're probably like established in your career or studies, your relationships have deepened, and you start reaping the rewards of your hard work. This is a time for productivity, achievements, and enjoying the fruits of your labor. So think of it as the peak season of your life where you are basking in the warmth of success, whatever that looks like for you. And, you just feel like you are very fulfilled in life. And this may look like, you finally seeing some results of recognition from hard work in whatever that you've committed to doing. So you're probably maybe launched a successful business or built a strong, loving relationship with your friends, your family, and yourself. And this is your summer, a time for your celebrations and achievements. And I want you to soak in the satisfaction of your efforts. This is the time for it, okay? Summer is the time for it. And guess what? This is exactly where I am right now currently. Everything seems to be going well. My manifestations are actually speeding up and coming into my reality faster than ever. It's insane. An example of it is, I don't know if you guys remember, but in episode 25, if you look at it, I walk you guys through my vision board, which is right here. And one of it was, what was on my vision board, one of them was to say that, I want to have a community of 1,000 on socials. I didn't state specifically whether or not it's on TikTok or Instagram, but just in general. And that was the goal for the whole of 2024. And just last week, I kid you not, we doubled that on TikTok. And the most amazing part is that it's still increasing every single day. And it amazes me and it shocks me so much. And I'm very grateful and appreciative of every single one of you, because every single day, I'm still receiving comments, DMs, and notifications from you guys showing me your love and support. And I truly am very, very grateful. And I've never actually thought that this was gonna be, our life seasons was gonna be this big. And I know I'm gonna look back at this video and be laughing at myself because of how much it would have grown in the future, and because it has so much potential, right? And I know, and I mentioned this before, that I feel like our life seasons is where it needs to be. It's where it wants to be, and it's like meant to be for people that are just like me, right? People who want to find support and are not able to find support maybe with the people around you. But I just want to say that without you guys, I won't be able to reach this manifestation of mine, and it's only February when I hit that goal. So can you imagine where we will be at the end of this year? And I'm so happy and excited to be able to share it with you guys and to bring you along with me, especially when you're with me or with our life seasons from the very start and seeing how it has grown. I hope that it gives you a lot of motivation as well to know what is possible for you, okay? Because like I said, I was in your position wherever you are, whatever season that you're in. I've gone through that before, and I know now that every single season, as long as you go in that season and know that you just want to learn the lessons that you learn and apply it to your life, and you can move on, let go, you start to realize that every season is like summer. Every season is where the season that you get to grow and get to be excited and happy about life, okay? So I was just having a 2 a.m. conversation with my mom yesterday about how much my life has changed over the year, and I feel like I'm at my prime now, and I know more is to come. Like, this is just the beginning. And I said before, I'm very close with my mom, and I'm very, very grateful that I have my mom with me, where she's someone that has gone through different seasons of life with me, just because of how I always go to her with problems, or rather just to update her on my life, and we have conversations like that, wholesome ones. And I know that some of you might not be able to have someone like that in your life. That is why I hope with our life seasons, and I hope that I will be that person for you. I want to be that person for you, okay? That person that you're able to have conversations like that, that person that you're able to seek advice from and make you feel like you're not alone in this journey, that person that just shows you how life, or how amazing life can be, just because of how you want it to be. And life can be so beautiful, and I hope that everyone is able to see that, because with this, like with the passion. And it's so funny how literally this morning I had someone DMing me, telling me that one of the listeners telling me that he loves it when I have this, when I open inverted like scold you guys on my podcast, because of like the passion that I have. And I really want to translate that into whatever time of the day that you're listening to this. I hope that you're able to feel this passion, and this little passion of mine is able to translate into your life, okay? It's able to just kind of, transcend into your life and allow you to feel that passion as well. And I want to be that person for you. I want to be your cheerleader. I want to be your friend, your big sister, your best friend, whatever it is. I just want you to hope that you're not alone on this, okay? And I am here with you with my podcast episodes every single day. That's why I promise myself that no matter what happens in my life, every single week I'm gonna post a podcast episode. Every single day I will have a content that's out there, and hoping that it will reach people that needs to hear this, okay? But anyways, I know that this is just the beginning, and I'm just very excited for it. So who would have thought that 1 year ago I was building myself back up, and now I truly enjoy my job, and alongside that I get to have a community that filled with people who love what I do and find helpful, to know that my content is helpful for you guys, which is my goal when I started our life seasons. And being able to see that all come to life is just amazing, okay? Now again, every single season has its own challenges. Yes, even the most favored season like summer, it involves struggling to like balance responsibility, because like I said, new level, new devil. As you level up, the workload and responsibilities that you take on will be increased, and it's very normal. It's important to start to learn how to manage stress and maintain like a healthy relationship with yourself and with the people around you. So as busy as you are, I want you to take time for yourself and for your loved ones to kind of refuel and recharge you, okay? So if you're in summer, or rather if you're in the season of summer, I know things can be crazy for you at the moment, and sometimes self-doubt or the fear of this season passing will actually creep up, and you get all worried. But trust that all you gotta do is to embrace the opportunities to live a fulfilled life, doing what you truly enjoy, doing what you truly love, and prioritize you and nurture the relationships around you, okay? This is a time for you to just embrace this moment and not overthink about the future, even though I know it's hard. It sounds easy to do. It sounds easy to say, but just know that don't overthink it, okay? Allow whatever that needs to happen in the future, let it happen. Right now, the only moment is the present moment, okay? And I know for some of you, especially for those of you who are in your winter season and you're listening to this now, thinking to yourself, oh, isn't that a good problem to have, to be too busy because you're so successful, or wishing and wondering that, you were in this season as well. Or maybe you might be thinking, wow, sounds so easy. If only it's that easy, or when will it be my turn? Maybe some of you are even angry. And I get where all this is coming from. Okay, I was once there too, looking at all the successful entrepreneurs out there, seeing their videos going viral, and I'm barely getting half of it or even a quarter of it, of what they show, or rather what they show online, and I just get really upset. Okay, I want you to know that this summer season is available for you too. You will get here. You've gotten here before. Think of the times that you have felt genuinely like yourself and felt like you've grown. Your version of summer will look very different from mine, but in the same concept of celebrations and milestones reached, right? And it feels like, if you feel like you're not here yet, I want you to know that the only missing puzzle to you is patience. And guess what? You putting every lesson to practice. And that lesson is to not look at someone else's plate or my plate and envying or counting who has more of what. It's looking at your own plate and being satisfied and grateful for what you already have, and have faith that yours is coming too. Okay, your summer season is coming too. As soon as you grasp this concept of gratification and opening yourself up to receive, detaching from the comparison, which I talked about in episode 35, you will know that you are almost there. Okay, really, you just need to open yourself up energetically to be ready for it when it comes in divine timing. Okay, because when you're saying statements like that of like, oh, I hope that I can be there, like, why am I not there yet, it still shows that you're holding some sort of control to how you want the outcome to be like, and you're not letting the universe do its job. So just let go of all this and just live in the present moment and enjoy and embrace your winter season. Because like I said, winter season is a lot on reflecting on your life. Okay, now I'll talk about it in just a bit. But for now, as summer fades into autumn or fall, like the leaves start to change color and the nature prepares for winter, similarly, life throws you a curveball and you start experiencing inevitable changes from all the growth that you have had in summer. So with growth comes lessons, because now that you have grown into something or someone that has a different perspective on life, knowing what you want and don't align with, some things got to go because of this misalignment. Okay, and this may look like a career shift for you, a breakup, or simply the realization that things need to start transforming. While fall can bring challenges and uncertainty, and these challenges can be daunting, I want you to think of it as an opportunity for growth and personal evolution. Okay, they can also be like a catalyst for a positive change in your life. So I want you to embrace the fall season of your life as an opportunity to start re-evaluating your priorities, reflect on like your accomplishments, and find new meaning and purpose by exploring new paths and discover hidden strengths. Okay, remember, change, even when it's difficult, can lead to unexpected blessings. Okay, this was the season that I had to face towards, I think, the end of 2022 up to the first half of 2023, and I wrapped up the season from episode 14 onwards, where I revisited San Francisco, the place of growth for me, and I had to relearn like a lot of lessons, and where I was constantly embracing change and just transforming. And that was also the season where I decided to tender my resignation, and then just to, even though I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do, I decided to just end this contract with the company that I was working for back then, because it wasn't working out for me, and just be in this like change and this uncertainty and just constantly learn. It was very uncomfortable, but at the same time, everything just turns out to be better. So episode 14 onwards, you just hear from it. Okay, so it may sound like it wasn't as good of a season as compared to summer, but it is not actually. I had so much fun and amazing things that were still coming into my life. Like refer to episode 19 where I talk about my new beginning and crazy stuff that was happening while I was first pushed into this season of fall coming from summer. And it's very different. Fall and summer, you may feel like it's a huge difference, but they all work together. Okay, so like I said time and time again, these seasons are just a brief reference of how it is like and what each season brings about, but everyone's season is gonna look very different. Okay, and it really boils down to how you see it and how you choose for it to be. So winter and fall season doesn't have to mean that you're back into the trenches, but more of once you've healed, these seasons are more for you to kind of double down and reflect on your life and kind of prepare yourself for like the next chapter of your life, the next season of your life. So it doesn't have to be this like big hoo-ha thing or of going through pain again, because you've actually grown and you choose for it to not be that way based on how you respond to certain situations and the story you choose to tell yourself. Okay, so now finally, winter arrives. This is a time for introspection and quiet reflection where, lots of healing is done. Like, how bears hibernate during winter, you too go into hibernation in your own way. So I don't mean just disappearing off like the surface of the earth, but more of like your world starts to slowly slows down a little bit more. You allow yourself to take much needed periods of rest time and renewal. So this is my favorite season, honestly. Like winter season, as much as I said that it was very like bad for me, or rather I felt like my whole world was crashing down and this and that, I just want to say that this season was also the season that I started to look a lot more into like self-care, slowing down and taking stock of my life. I started to ask questions like, what have I actually learned from whatever lessons, whatever obstacles that I've gone through? What do I want to achieve next? How can I be a better version of myself? Which is why I felt so amazed by how the seasons actually line up with the months of the year. Because like I mentioned, from December of 2022 was, my winter season, right? And it hit me so hard, and I spent a lot of time with myself, reflecting on my journey, reconnecting with myself and planning for like the future. So you probably find yourself facing like difficult emotions and finding solace, which is very normal for winter season. So listen to episode 1 and 2 in the podcast, because this was me coming out of my winter season, and from these episodes you can actually kind of see how I view life and what I did during my winter season and the mindset I took on to help me ease into spring. Okay, because I know for a lot of people, like I said, winter season is something that is just, everyone dreads it so much because it's just not a season that is amazing like summer, right? And it can be lonely. Winter season can be lonely, but just know that when I talk about being alone but not lonely is so important for your winter season, for you to allow yourself to take this time to reflect. And I really do enjoy it. I'm not sure if it's a introverted thing, but I just really do enjoy being alone in this winter season and just allowing myself to nurture this passion within me and to nurture myself, to love myself again, and to just kind of catch up with things in my life. Okay, so I would say that if you're in your winter season, I want you to use this time to nurture your passions, right? To spend time with people that allow you to grow and to be with yourself. So rediscover yourself by exploring new interests of habits, embrace the opportunities to actually rest and recharge and emerge stronger and more resilient. So remember, winter is not an ending but a preparation for a new spring where the cycle actually repeats itself again. Now, that pretty much covers your entire seasons of life, the 4 different seasons, and I want to share some advice for you whilst you are navigating through the season you're in right now, whatever season that is. Regardless of which season you are in right now, I want you to learn to embrace the change, okay? We oftentimes resist change because the seasons brings us out of our comfort zone, and that's just what it does. And if we resist, you only find yourself being more exhausted than ever, because whatever that you resist persists. Okay, so learn to expand your comfort zone by being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay, I'll say it again. Learn to expand your comfort zone by being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Remember that growth is uncomfortable because they happen outside of your comfort zone. They are very unfamiliar, like territory that you've not been into, and it's very normal for you to be afraid. It's very normal for you to be uncomfortable, but just know that growth only happens in this way. Okay, instead, I want you to actually acknowledge the shift and accept the emotions that comes with it. See it as an opportunity for growth. You need to let go of everything that you're comfortable with, whether it's the stories that you've been holding on to or the words that you've been telling yourself on a day-to-day basis. Let it go. Okay, listen to episode 7 for more on letting go, and just to know that, by letting go, there's so much things that can happen for you. You allow the universe to play with you in a sense and to have so much fun. Okay, so the next tip I want you to know is to practice self-awareness. Know that whatever that you see now is not your future. It does not dictate how your future is gonna be. You can change that. Okay, so listen to episode 10 on that. Lastly, doesn't matter what season you are in, there will always be something to celebrate about. I want you to take time out to celebrate your achievements, no matter how big or small it is. And by that, I mean things like, being able to catch yourself before you start spiraling into negativity. Celebrate that. Going on a day without complaining about your situation. Celebrate that, okay? Or maybe it's going on to a week, being able to regulate your emotions. Celebrate that. or maybe it's being able to go to the gym for like a couple of days straight. Celebrate that. Start to build this habit of celebrating yourself, okay? As much as we celebrate huge achievements like getting a raise or getting X numbers of followers or ROI in our business, it's important to also celebrate mindset achievements as well. This will boost your confidence and motivation, which I talked about in episode 21, okay? Because with every celebrations that you have, or rather with this habit of being able to celebrate every small and big achievements of whatever that you want to celebrate, you allow yourself to be more confident. You allow yourself to know that, hey, this is something that I can look back at and be proud of, who I've become. And you're not like, your self-worth is not based on the little achievements that you have, but rather like being able to embrace and to accept yourself for who you are, and to find that confidence and motivation to continue what lights you up, to continue doing whatever that you want to do in life, okay? So as promised, here's a little bonus question that I want to ask you guys. What season are you currently in or feel like you're stuck in, and how can you just, not just go through it, but grow through it? Okay, let me repeat that question. What season are you currently in or feel like you're stuck in, and how can you not just go through it, but grow through it? So have a think about it and let me know which seasons you're in right now, or rather which is the season that you resonate with. Remember, no season is permanent. Just like nature transitions from one season to the next, you will too, okay? Moving from different phases in your life, different seasons in your life. The key is to embrace the unique experiences each season has to offer. Learn from the challenges and cherish the opportunities for growth and transformation. So like I said in episode 33, make every year your best year yet. Make every season your best season, okay? So that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, thank you so much for sending this request. I hope I receive more requests from you guys. So if you have any burning like questions or topics that you want me to cover, feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram at Our Life Seasons, or comment on whichever platform that you're listening to this, and I will get back to you, okay? So for those of you who have actually requested, I thank you so much for all your requests. And yeah, I will get to it. I promise I'll get to it, and I'll tag you guys in it. So I just want to say that I really truly appreciate all the interactions that we've been having. So if you have any advice that you need, I don't know, if you have any life advice, or rather if you want to have any life advisors, or if you're looking for any advisors, I hope that you can or feel like you're okay to just drop me a DM and I will, reply. Like I said, for those of you who have DM me, you guys know I actually reply to every single one of the DMs. And I really do appreciate all of you, okay? And I'm really very glad that whatever advice I give you guys, you found it helpful so far. So yeah, I just hope that this episode again is helpful for you, and I see you in the next episode. Bye.